Welcome to Let's Get Fresh, the podcast for those passionate about growing their business through the power of connection. At Fresh, we've thrown out the rule book on networking as you may know it, and we've written our own. Think more connections, less blah, and a whole lot of ooh la la. Get ready to explore all things networking and business under the guise of fun, as world-class guests and relatable conversations collide, resulting in education, inspiration, and growth for you. G'day everyone, welcome to the Let's Get Fresh podcast. I'm your host Tiffanee Cook and I'm a long-standing member of the Fresh networking community, and I'm delighted to let you know that today you have landed on a very special episode for two reasons. Reason number one is we have just hit double digits with this being episode 10. And here's a fun fact based on the most recent stats. Out of the millions of podcasts that are produced, only 36% of shows reach the 10 episode mark because it requires dedication, commitment, and consistency. So, hey, go us. And reason number two is that on October the 1st, 2022, we are celebrating our 8th birthday, our 8 great years in the making, building what we've built. And so to celebrate, I'm having a conversation with His Royal Freshness, the king of fresh networking, founder Darren Kelk. And in the middle of that conversation, I'm going to be sliding in some snippets of feedback from a handful of our wonderful members. Members you'll be hearing from today in no particular order are Laura Litcanu, Sana Hosseini, Shaun Resnik, Joe Fisher, Hayley Meeking, Emily Potter. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for being part of Fresh Networking and being part of this podcast. Thank you for listening. Here's to us, here's to you, and here's to the next 8 years and beyond. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Tiff.
Happy 8th birthday.
Oh, my God. Here I was thinking I was turning 50 this year, but it's like, oh, my God, I'm only 8. Very, very happy about this.
Oh, my goodness. Who would have thought we'd be sitting here celebrating 8 years?
Oh, I did, Tiff.
I mean, so did I, definitely. So did I.
Did you doubt me?
What an amazing adventure it's been. But I just want to say, I mean, to build a networking group from a funny little idea way back when, which I'll get you to talk about again, but to build that and without such big plans, I don't believe at the start, and then to get through COVID and to build something with such a culture and growth in this amount of time is just phenomenal. So I just want to say congratulations and thanks for letting me weasel in and be part of it.
You're one of my originals, darling.
Yeah. So tell me about the whole starting process ago. I know we've touched on it lightly before, but how did it all begin?
It all began a long time ago, back in August 2014, where I had an idea that I couldn't stand any other networking. That was it.
You're like, I hate networking. I'm going to make a networking group.
I was in another networking group that met weekly, and I was just not enjoying it anymore because I was actually going there, the forced referrals all the time, that I felt anxious and sweaty every time I was going into the room, and the people, I just didn't resonate with them. And here I am having to force to use those services and refer my clients to. And there was one point which I'm grateful for this person who was a homophobic person, making a comment about gays right in front of me. And I just thought, oh my God, there's no value alignment here. What am I doing here? And so that was the trigger. Anyway, I caught up with my accountant who I met at another networking group many years ago. And him and I were just sitting there having coffee. I said, oh, why don't we just set up our own group? We can do it. And so we did. So we did an expression of interest, and we had about 30 people come along to the meeting and 15 joined originally. And that's how it all started. So just a group of friends getting together. I had my half of my friends and, well, the full friends, full of body. I didn't just get half of a friend.
Leg day at networking.
Yeah. And Simon got his friends along and clients, and that's how it all started. And, you know, it all started back with people volunteering their time to do everything, from the graphic design. You were the printer that had name badges and cards put out in front of everyone. We had the graphic designer create the banners. We had a web designer create our website and video, everything for free. And that's how it all started, based on community. So,
yeah, and the outcome you wanted?
well, the reason I did it originally was pure selfish reasons. And it was basically because I still needed to build up my travel business, and I knew networking worked, but I just couldn't find anything that resonated with me. And the outcome was to build up my travel business, firstly, and to help others as well, because I know referral marketing does work. And and it did help my travel business. But then I saw an opportunity that it was only a hobby back then. And then I thought, I could be onto something here.
Why do you think that people back then and still today, why do you think people choose Fresh? Why do they join?
Look, well, I interview a lot of the people that join. And I think the biggest thing that I ever hear is that they're joining because they want a community. They want people to help support their clients, and so that they're people who know people. And I think that's the biggest number one value that they get. I think we're all there to get a referral. Like, don't kid me wrong. Like, we don't want to eat noodles for the rest of our lives. But I think referrals should just come as a natural process of helping one another. It's like, if you're good at what you do, you show up, you volunteer your time, and you want to actually contribute to a community, the rest will just follow. And that's how I've always believed Fresh should be. It shouldn't be that forced referral process.
Out of all of the networking groups out there, what made you select Fresh?
Fresh is actually my first love. I haven't really looked into other groups before. I just went into a Fresh meeting. I fell in love and I stayed there. Look, after I joined Fresh, I did go to other events, but none of them compared to my first love.
I think it was meant to be. I literally got a phone call saying this group was beginning across the street, and it was a group of business owners that wanted to build something a bit different. I had attended, I think back then the only really networking I'd ever attended was like a Rotary group or something like that. Since then, I was advised by Aussie that there was this thing called BNI and you should maybe go and check that out. And, the problem with Fresh is that after you've experienced Fresh and you do other networking groups, it's such a letdown. It's like, wait, this is not how it works. You guys should be doing better. This is like terrible. And so I've been a member of Fresh for that entire time, and it's been brilliant for us. I've got staff members that have joined for other hubs, and it's been excellent for us.
Yeah, and look, when they come to join, it's like I know that a lot of people fear networking, and I know that's what I experienced even when I went out networking. I was always a bit scared when I first rock up, not knowing anybody and all that thing. And I think one of the biggest things that we've made a big point at Fresh is about welcoming people and making them all feel included, rather than feeling there's cliques in the group, or, we have little fun icebreakers to make them unwind a bit, to make it feel like it's a bit warmer. And I think all the members actually really welcome the guests, and the guests always comment about how much they enjoy coming along, whether they join or not. That's not, I don't care about that. But I think we're a bit more fun.
Do you know what's always astounded me? I remember back at the start of my journey and the shaking hands and the sheer terror of standing up in a small group of people, but standing up and having 60 seconds to speak, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but for a lot of us, many of us, it's terrifying, and it was for me. And now what astounds me is when I observe and notice that in these Fresh networking groups, no one appears, they would be, I'm sure, but nobody appears as nervous or uncomfortable or shaking, or they're really quite settled and and it's because they feel comfortable in that atmosphere. And that blows me away, because that wasn't what I saw previously when I used to network.
I had a guy who recently joined our Paran hub, and one of the comments he said he'd been to other networking groups, but when he went into that hub, he just felt like it was his tribe. He just felt so comfortable, and they all wanted him to be there, and it was so welcoming. And so straight away he submitted his application form. There was no doubt about it.
I mean, I used to have a phobia of public speaking. Hey, now I do, I've been on live TV, I've gone on and to do great things at corporates. it's been wonderful. It's, overcoming any kind of phobia is so empowering. And to think that Fresh played a pivotal role in that is beautiful. So I'm very proud to say I'm a part of the Fresh family.
Yeah, look, I think networking can be very intimidating. And those other groups are very intimidating, especially if you've got 25 business suits in a room. And I remember I used to shake like a leaf in front of all these people. And I thought, but I used to, I used to feel that I wasn't good enough because they were all so professional. But at the end of the day, I realized that no, they weren't. That we're all human, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I think networking should always be a sense of community where we want to actually help people succeed, whether they're a guest or a member. It's like, surely the best thing you could ever offer somebody is success. And that's what I'm proud of when I see people improve, even with their public speaking. They're getting up and being a facilitator, and all of a sudden they just know what they're doing, and it just really makes sense to them.
My gosh, Tiff, my professional growth from Fresh is I came into Fresh like a mouse. There was a revolving doors to get into the building where the Fresh meeting was being held. And I nearly turned around in the revolving doors and went back out because I saw the Fresh banner inside the building in the reception area, and I thought, I can't do this. However, since then, going to the meeting, taking on the personal growth that Fresh incorporates into where we speak, I then ended up becoming a facilitator. So I started off as a member in the background, very much in the background, sort of hiding. And then through being in the network and from other people's encouragement, taking a leadership role in one of the hubs.
At what point did you start to learn or learn more about what you needed to offer in terms of not just referrals? Like, how did you know what was important and how to develop people?
I think listening. I remember my first meeting, our first group in South Yarra, which you were part of it, and you invited one of the members. I did a survey, and some members had never done networking before, and so they didn't know what to do. And he actually said to me, "Oh, I wouldn't mind a bit of mentoring or training." And I thought, "Oh God, really?" This is a hobby. and so then I actually had to create an induction process for members on because they didn't know what they were doing. And that's the thing. Not everyone is a natural networker, and it is a skill. It's referral marketing, and it is sales, and not everyone is a natural salesperson either.
The first thing I noticed about Fresh that I didn't expect, not knowing, what I was getting myself involved with, I can ring any person on the Fresh directory, whether they know me or not, whether they are a big business person that's very established or whether they're new to business. And every single time they will give me advice, they will give me all the time of the day that I ever need, and they're really welcoming. So I think that everyone in Fresh has been extremely generous to me, which I think is, one of the beauties of Fresh. But I would like to think that I've been very generous back and, volunteering for Fair Share, meeting new members, making sure I'm very welcoming to guests and other members, and making sure that when I am meeting people, I'm looking for how I can help them. It's not, what do you got for me? Yes. It's like, what can I do to you? Who do you want to know that I know that might be, a good connection?
Your knack, and it kind of leans into exactly what I said before, but again, I'm just astounded by it, is that you've been able to implement systems and growth and education, but still remains this authenticity. And it is spread across hubs where you are no longer the person that's physically in the room creating that. And how have you done that? Is that that's innate in you, or your sense of fun definitely has something to do with it, you and your crowns and your...
Look, I called it Fresh for a reason, and Fresh makes you be fresh thinking, and all the time, every year, I'm always thinking of a new vision for Fresh and how do we keep people engaged and motivated? And because networking can be boring, you're doing the same thing every fortnight. So how do you keep people engaged and motivated? And it's not just about the dollars that come in, and it's about keeping that community going. And I think the biggest thing is the people, firstly. That's totally number one. So we actually did a recruitment process where, I've got a membership team now that interviews everyone, and it's based on their craft, their giving mentality, their motivation, and they're not dynamic personalities in a way. And introverts don't always have a dynamic personality, do they? But they do need to laugh at my jokes. So if they laugh at my jokes, I'll get in.
Look, you and I have become wonderful mates over the years. And, Darren, as well as everyone else that I've come in contact with, have in some shape, form become friends. So my community has expanded. When I had my little baby boy earlier this year, it was all the freshies, messaging and wishing their best. And so we've been to a few weddings, we've had picnics, we've gone out, we've done cool things. I've been on your stuff, you've been on mine. So talking about community, God, it's hard to bloody get people off your back in the Fresh community. It's hard to be a hermit when you're surrounded by all these people. I love that now, like when I think of my closest and dearest friends, a lot of them are actually from Fresh. So couldn't wish for more. And we've referred business to each other, and we've helped each other grow professionally. So it's such a win-win for everyone. So kudos to Darren for creating this. Well done.
But, it takes everyone to become a tribe, but it really is the people. And the people we've got a lot of core people in every hub that keep every hub driven. And they're all, I don't really do a lot with them anymore. I do the training and leadership training and development and motivation. I've got to get out there and encourage people and things like that as well. But, I let them form their own little communities within the community. So.
You've got a strong emphasis on values, and you selected 5 values and to build the community around. And I've spoken to, which we'll hear snippets of throughout this conversation, but I've spoken to a few members just to throw you under the bus basically and make sure, what you strive to achieve is happening. And how did you select those values, and why were they particularly important to you?
I think, look, as I said before, when Fresh started, we just accepted everyone. There was no value alignment or anything, and fill in an application and you're in. That was it. And pretty strict. But over the years, what I identified I really reviewed the type of members that we had and who were the successful ones and who were not so fresh. And they all, when I rated it, they all had common type of value. And the number one thing is the generosity. And I do know of the people that you're interviewing. And a lot of those people are so generous with their time, firstly, and they want to help other people and they don't expect anything in return. And that was always my number one, generosity, is that, my lawyer mate, Rob, he always said to me, he said, I always want to make you successful, Darren, just always make me look good. And he always knew that I was not going to be able to refer probably legal clients to him because I'm a travel agent. So I really resonated with that, with what he told me many, many, many years ago. And it's that type of learning that I've got from other members that have actually helped me formulate the value around generosity. And I look at other communities. It's not just networking communities. It's, there's the cultural communities, like the Italian communities, like they all help one another. They all keep within their tribe, don't they? And so do Fresh. And that's why we have Think Fresh First. So, and that's where the teamwork comes into it, because I'm not about having to be hub specific at all. It's like, we've got a massive community out there. Get out there, get to know everybody, and you don't know who's going to be the right person, the right fit for your client. Like, just because somebody in your hub does the same thing as somebody else in another hub, they may not be the right fit. So it's got to be the best fit for the client, I think. And it happened recently in your hub, actually, in St Kilda. There was a buyer's advocate who actually assisted also with a finance broker in Mordialloc, and then also the conveyancer in St Kilda Hub. They all work together and achieve the result for the client. So they're in different hubs, and it's fantastic. And that's what I love most about it, because people find that friendship and trust and likability, and then they know who to refer to.
So one of the things that we use with the Fresh sort of network is that we ring fence our customers. So when you have trusted people that you're working with, it's not so much for us. Yes, we do receive leads and assistance, but we also ring fence our customers where they're using a conveyancer that we know is fabulous and fantastic. We can recommend wonderful accountants. We have buyers advocates that are phenomenal. So we have all these people within the Fresh network that can refer to each other and have each other's back. Because there are times when a customer may use someone outside of the network, and there is this tendency that, say, for example, if something goes wrong and the bank is missing something that they require, and it's something that the conveyancer was meant to have sent in and they haven't, there is this tendency, let's blame someone else. Let's not say that it was their mistake. It was basically someone else's mistake. And that is one of those things that, because everyone's in the Fresh network, you're going to see that person every week or every fortnight. Depends how many Get Freshes you organize, but essentially you see that person really often. You speak to them very often. So there is this trust and sort of holistic care that goes into having customers within the Fresh network. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we've sort of leaned into and leaned upon with our time with Fresh.
Sana talked about ring fencing, which I adored, which I didn't have a term for that before, but that's the idea of having all of these resources and businesses around you that can support your client base. And it's such a valuable thing, and I don't think it's one that as business owners we're all that aware of until we do quite a bit of networking, and then all of a sudden learn that that's available to us, and what the value of that is. When people start seeing you as someone who knows good people and has resources and businesses and services that may not be anything related to your business, but it's such a resource.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Sana. It's like he's been one of the my number one members since the day we opened, as with you. And and Sana's been an amazing mentor to me. And we don't do business together that much, one another, because we're in different areas of work. However, just our lunches every week, we catch up and just always sharing ideas. And he's encouraged me to do different things. And that's the thing, is he's encouraging other people to think differently and to achieve their goals. And that's what the teamwork thing is all about.
I do want to shout out to Sana, because twice this year I've spoken to him, and he's in a different hub to me, and I hadn't seen him or dealt with him for quite a number of years. And both times he gave me an extra hour of time and mentored out of nowhere with the most valuable information and encouragement. And this is just what I feel we get exposed to in the community that you've created. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, he's a legend.
The Fresh family. And it is, isn't it? It's like a big family.
#FreshFam.
Absolutely. And I think like I just said before, initially we're joining for to be for our business and to network and for that growth. But it's the community that really is behind us, isn't it? Yeah. That it's those relationships that we're building. And it's like a personal directory, like business directory at your fingertips, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And everyone is, as we said, very generous with their time and prepared to, help each other as part of that team.
Yeah. What has changed for you? What's changed in year 8?
Online. Thanks, COVID. Look, I think I would never, I was a very anti-Zoomer. Many years ago, my coach was always saying to me, Darren, we need to meet on Zoom. And I went, no, I like to have a breakfast. I like to have coffee, and we need to waste all our time. And then thank you, COVID, to force us all online. But it taught us all new skills. But it also taught, there's a whole lot of things that came out of that. And it was really, one, use the people around you who are the specialists in what they do, because I just realised that I couldn't do everything. And in particular, Chris from the CRM team, he was able to get everyone up onto Zoom to help our meetings run over the last 2 years. Not everyone liked it, but it was the only way we could network. And we had to suck it up and do it. If you wanted to grow your business, you still needed to have a community around you that were looking out for you. And it did. It went down for a bit, but then it went back up, and the community really rallied together. So I saw that, but also looking at the business and realising that there's many more opportunities out there as well. And it just didn't have to be the same old way of networking, the single agenda. I've created 5 different agendas to keep it different and interesting. So a whole lot of things that I'm always evaluating. The people, I think, that we're attracting, it's just a high caliber of people now, as well, versus what it was. I think back then I charged $150 to join a membership, and you get what you pay for. And, to make it a business, obviously I had to increase the membership fee so that it could actually pay for the support and tech, everything. But it attracted better people as well, and very, very focused businesses that need to do well as well.
I think the selection criteria that Darren uses is I think unique. It's one of those ones where that if someone has been through or has gone through that selection process, they're going to be pretty good value. Like, they're going to be an awesome human that you are going to enjoy spending time with, and you don't really know why. But in a way, that selection criteria, the amount of effort that Darren has put into refining the kind of people that join Fresh or are in that network, it just, basically they're a reflection of the qualities that we've been describing.
Have you ever reflected much on your own personal professional growth that has come from building this business that was just a side gig to support your own travel business? But have you looked at how that's flowed over into the growth of you as a business person?
Look, definitely I get a lot of referrals. So I'm the only travel agent in Fresh. That's travel managers, by the way. I love telling people where to go.
I know.
I think if I look at my experience, it's herding cats. Managing people, I think the biggest thing is, and learning to let go of things as well. There's a lot of people in Fresh, and a lot of different personalities, and a lot of people have an opinion, and we can all do it better or whatever. If you listen to the naysayers, and I know Shaun Resnik did a really good presentation on naysayers, and, you start to doubt yourself. Am I doing the right thing? And things like that. And I think just learning to stay focused and learning to take things slowly and just still listening. I'm always a big believer in listening. If it's constructive feedback, really listen to those people because I've got some great people who will always tell me what to do. I can rely on that. But it's always constructive. And so that's actually a really good thing. And I think I've become calmer. I think a calmer business person because of all of that, and also having to manage a whole lot of different things. And I don't know, and really looking at it as a bigger picture rather than just me doing everything. And look, I think you've got to rely on people. You can't do it all yourself. That's if you want to grow a business. But it is hard, like small business owners, it's really bloody hard because you don't have money a lot of the time. So that was always the biggest challenge. And when do you start to invest in yourself as well? And fortunately, look, one of the good things that came out of COVID as well is that the travel industry died for me. So it allowed me 2 years to work on Fresh. And so I just really, really went hard at it. And and I think when you focus on something that you're passionate about, you've got to keep going and you just got to be persistent. And you'll have your hard times, but you've got to have I've got my coach around me who keeps me going as well. So
has there ever been a time or some times where you've just thought, maybe I should just pack this in?
Last night.
Or don't.
I didn't know what shirt to wear.
It's a big decision.
Look, even when I was at Flight Centre, there were times that I wanted to pack it in because humans are difficult. Yeah. It is. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities and they're very challenging at times. And and I went through some hardships in my business and I thought, but I never ever thought about packing it in at Fresh ever because I just love it. And every morning, I always say this still to this day, if I get off a meeting, even if it's online or a face-to-face meeting, I always walk away feeling pumped and motivated, always. And I just feel inspired every time. So, and whilst it's my business, I think a lot of people feel they own Fresh, and which is great. That's what I want them to feel. I want them to have that pride and be part of the community. Yeah.
I think it all starts with the personal development, doesn't it? And that feeds into the professional growth. At least this is how I see it. I've engaged quite a few members in Fresh to assist me along the way with this personal growth. And I've been dealing with anxiety in the past, still do, but I know how to manage it better. And quite a few members dear to my heart have assisted me with that. Just with the business development as well, challenging myself, but also challenging how I deal with my personal life and the juggle between, personal commitments and business commitments, all of those. I found a wealth of knowledge in Fresh and people who supported me and challenged me and pushed me outside of my comfort zone.
And have you got a favourite or a couple of favourite moments, like any real things that really make you proud or excited from the journey? It's just been a constant state of pure excitement the whole time. You're very excitable.
Engaging with Collab, the marketing agency that evolved Fresh to what it is now, the branding that you see behind us. I'm so proud of the brand as well. And so every time I look at it, and everything I work with them, that's fantastic. And I love it. I love that we've created the Fresh Academy now. We've got really good people doing like make the most of your pitch and make the most of your 10 minutes. And I've been able to use some amazing members to help educate the other members. So I think the Fresh Academy is a big thing for me because, again, about learning and development. But I think what we've given as a community in terms of one of my biggest philosophies is about giving back to the community as well. So we've done things like Blanket Melbourne. We did Beyond Blue. We've done Fair Share. We've done Longitude, a whole lot of different things. And now we're doing Dementia Australia because of my dad. And and we've given it's about over $35,000 now in donations and time as well. So they're the proud moments. I love our events, the biggest though, our Christmas parties.
You do those very well.
They are my favourite. So I don't know if everyone likes them, but...
if we didn't like them, just watching how much you love them in the moment, it makes us love them even more. That overarching sense of fun just oozes through everything. It oozes through the brand, and I'd love you to tell me a little bit about the whole little Fresh jelly bean, the branding that you've selected.
The jelly bean, firstly, who doesn't love a jelly bean?
I definitely love a jelly bean.
We all love them. So the jelly bean is fun, right? It's a fun lolly. Everyone wants. You always got to have them at a party. But the jelly beans all mingling into one. It's all the community coming together. So that's all the jelly beans working as one. And it's fun and colourful, which is, I think, our members.
Yeah, and our Royal Freshness himself.
Look, during the last few years, there is, like anyone's life, you have ups and downs and challenges that you go through. And having that fresh network around you, you have all these incredible humans that you've built some strong friendships with and you can call upon. And so, yeah, you grow from learning about these experiences in life, but also being able to consult with incredible people. Darren is one of my closest friends, and he's incredible in terms of the wealth of knowledge, and also like not just in terms of professionally, but in terms of just an amazing human. So you have all these kind of elements that you're able to lean on and lean into in terms of the Fresh network.
What's next? What are your aspirations? Where do you see Fresh in another 5 years when we're having our 13th birthday?
Look, I've never been one of these people that's like, oh, in 10 years' time, we're going to have all of these hubs around Melbourne and Australia or whatever. I would like to think forward that we're all still growing, even Fresh, and we're growing, we're finding different opportunities. I would love to say that we're more abroad. You know, we are in London already, one member. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
We're international.
But we are international, and, you know, and I'd love to see New South Wales. It's a really big opportunity in New South Wales for that to grow and get that brand awareness, and then up to Queensland, my hometown as well. And I think I'd be really, really proud if I see the Fresh national online networking take off as to be probably aligned same numbers as what we have in our cafes, because I really do think, as much as people moaned and groaned about Zoom, I do actually think it's a very effective way of networking, and I love it. And it's very strategic. I can see people that I want to connect with straight away. I'm very time poor with running both my businesses, and I don't want to be just suburb specific. So I want to be Fresh, should be huge and national and international. And I'd like to see I'd love to have some other area managers or something coming into the fold as well that can actually help grow my royal family.
I love that. And I think that the mix of online and in-hub gives it, it helps us balance our little introvert-extrovert scale. You know, to have access to both is really great. So, Darren, what does success for you look like in networking?
Lots of money around me, Tiff. Lots of money.
Cash.
I swim in it. As I said right from the start, when I first started Fresh, and even in my other networking, I joined with the mindset I need referrals. That was always my mindset. Yeah. Over all these years of networking, that's not success for me. I never go with the intention to get a referral. Now I go to learn. I go to meet new people. If I can meet one new person every meeting because of Fresh, and this is how I always say to everyone, it's like use Fresh as your magnet of meeting people. And if that to me is success, because without this Fresh community, you know, without Fresh being here, all these friendships wouldn't have been formed. So that's how I see the success. It's, I look at Facebook, for example, and see all my friends from Fresh who are stalking all my other friends. And, you know, there's 120 mutual friends. So it just really shows that the power of a network, and that's where I see success, and people who just want to help and be happy to see you grow and not jealous of you either. So, yeah.
You know, it just crossed my mind as you were talking about that. I was thinking it's interesting because I have such a strong network now. When I look at important times in my life and I reflect, it's Fresh members who have become important people in my life that have supported me. And as you were speaking, I'm thinking, why? Isn't that weird? But, you know, it's because we forget that to build relationships, it takes work and touch points and getting to know one another. And it takes a building of a relationship. And when you invest the time in that, this is the result.
You've also got to be front of mind. And if you think about a company, like when I worked at Flight Centre, we were always friends. We were going out for drinks all the time and we're all best mates. And then as soon as you leave, you never hear from them again. And that's what happens because everyone gets busy. So when you are in a community and you have that structured approach that you have to meet every fortnight, it strengthens relationships.
Yeah,
that's what it does. But you want to be around fun people.
And I think that knowing you've got your mates and your network and your other businesses there, it is really, we're all in this together and we're all there to look after each other. And we have beers at the pub. we catch up outside Fresh. It's not just always work, but we also know that we're there to really support each other with our businesses. It's good.
What have you loved the most out of the last 8 years?
I won't say friendships because that's number one. And I just ranted on about friendships. I've really enjoyed seeing Fresh grow. It's been, as I said, it was a hobby and then it turned into something, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a business here and there's people that want to be part of it. And that's what I feel really most proud of. And every time I catch up with people at other hubs and, we're all hugging one another and great, and we're all happy to see each other. That's what I really, really love the most. The laughter, like going to meetings and just seeing them do what they do is sometimes hilarious, embarrassing at times, but but you know what? They all have their own little personalities and I just love it. And seeing people just help with the mentorship of things as well, giving advice. Like I've seen some new startups that have joined and they're just doing really, really well because people have just given a lot of advice. So that's what I love the most.
Has it been a relatively easy ride? Like, did you just luck on to the right thing at the right time?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Everyone knows in business you don't need to do anything to make it work. I do rant on about this in networking, and look, some people get it and some people don't. It takes effort. Everything takes effort, and you'll go through good patches and you go through bad patches. That's in any business, and you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to be prepared to do it. It's like training, like with personal training yourself. It's like you can sign up to a membership and expect abs, but if you don't do anything, you're not going to have those abs. So you've got to get your networking abs going. But I think I've had to go backward to go forward and backward to go forward many, 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 many times. And, I still don't have it right. It's like, so I think as long as you're always learning and trying to improve, that's the biggest bit of advice I can give to anyone in business. And also just to always surround yourself with really positive people. Yeah, I think that's the biggest lesson you can get out of networking. Get yourself in a community.
Lastly, what advice would you give now to small business owners that you've learned along the way?
Don't do it.
Run.
Stay in corporate. Get your super.
Don't stay living at mum and dad's house.
Have a really good credit card. Look, I just said it actually before I jumped in. The number one bit of advice that I've learned in my own business career, I've been in it now 12, 13 years, is to surround yourself with like-minded people. And I know that sounds cliche, but I've got friends who don't understand business and they don't know the highs, the lows, all the hard parts around business. And you've got to keep yourself motivated constantly. And you and I have had conversations around this. We can, I've had dark days at times. I think, oh my God, is this going to get any easier? But when you're around like-minded people who are going through the same struggles, but also they're going through the same successes as well, and you want to celebrate them, they're a great support network to have. And that's the true value of having a networking community. And whether it be Fresh or any others, I think you just got to surround yourself with those type of people when you are in business, because it can be very isolating.
Well, I encourage anyone that's listening that's half piqued their interest around networking to come along. Join us at a cafe or an online hub and check us out, and you might just, want to be part of the crew. Thanks, Darren.
Let's get fresh.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Let's Get Fresh. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the fresh. And of course, subscribe to our podcast so you can keep the fresh goodness coming your way. If we've tantalised your networking taste buds, get along to a fresh event near you. Grab your free guest pass at www.freshnetworking.com.au. Until next time, stay fresh.